I'm just trying to figure out what I need to do to be great. You know what I'm saying? I'm reading my word, I'm reading my books, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Everything by the book, I'm doing it correctly. I'm being consistent. I'm trying to add value. I'm trying to be entertaining with my editing and all this, that, and the third. I'm trying to do everything right by the book. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really understanding. To be fair, though, I am kind of scared to take more risks because I do know that I should stream. And I understand that streaming is necessary for me to grow. I don't know if it's necessary, but at this point in time, if you're up and coming creator, I feel like streaming is the way to go. You stream, then you clip, you repurpose content, but it really starts from streaming because people want to see people live. TikTok live, YouTube live, Twitch live, Facebook live, all these lives is really where the money's at. And because I'm comfortable where I am, because I don't feel like extending outside of my comfort zone by buying a PC or doing the necessary mental gymnastics to figure out what's necessary for me to stream in the way that is producive and conductive, I'm staying pretty stagnant by gaining maybe anywhere from 30 to 50 new subscribers a month. At currently around 1,500, getting, my views in the first day of uploading, get maybe 10 views in the first day, within a week, they may be around 40, 50, 60, which you can work with. If, I feel like 40 to 50 to 60 people is enough people that if your content is really good, you can work with. But to be fair, I wouldn't say that my content is really good. I think that my content is decent. I think that my content is very watchable, which isn't saying a lot, but I guess it's saying something as opposed to what it used to be before, which literally wasn't watchable. I damn near wouldn't even call it content. So I say all of that to say I'm still trying to figure out how to get comfortable. Like, how do I get comfortable? Because like when the camera's off and I be talking and whatever, like I feel like I be saying some real good stuff. I be saying some real good shit for real. I'm not even gonna lie, but once the camera comes on, it's just like my brain just starts tapping out. It just starts to whatever. But I learned today that if you focus on your focus, because that happens to me a lot. Like I remember I was outside. So boom. Basically, I woke up real late today. I woke up at like 10 in the afternoon. So I basically, I basically slept through the whole afternoon. I got up, I made a smoothie, then I went downtown to get some cachapa, from a food truck, whatever, XYZ. Then I came back down to read my word and read my books and whatever. That's my routine. I listen to podcasts, I read the Bible, and then I read whatever self-help book I have. But I went outside to read, because my stomach was feeling jacked up. And as I was standing up outside reading, instead of being in my car, I felt like subconscious. I kept looking over my shoulder and my focus wasn't on reading. And I found that when my focus was 100% on reading, when it wasn't on how many pages I have left, when it wasn't on or who's watching, who's looking, when my focus was 100% on my focus, then I was able to read flawlessly and actually get a lot out of it and actually not dislike the process, because I read because, that's what they say you should do. Successful people read, successful people work out. So I work out and I read, but I feel that my experiences in doing such things, my perspective on doing them would be a lot better if my focus was literally on my focus. Not my focus being on, I got to do these push-ups. Like, no, my focus is being intent and getting intimate with whatever I'm reading, getting intimate with my workout and focusing on the process and the structure and like making sure my formation of my push-ups are correct and doing as many push-ups as I can and pushing myself like, all right, do 10 more, do 5 more. And when I read, like really imagine and really use my imagination to think about what I'm reading and how could I use it to apply it to my own life. And so I feel that when I'm making content, I don't know, there's part of me that's still not focused on the focus of delivering. I don't even know what that focus would be because maybe focusing on giving good content is counterproductive. Like I'm not focused on giving good content right now because I have no purpose in using this. But this is the least amount of stuttering, the least amount of pauses and the least amount of, and things like that I used ever, when I make content. And I'm not looking at this little fucking square right here, right next to the fucking lens. I'm not looking at this laptop thinking about what to say. I'm not overthinking. I'm fully focused on my thoughts. and delivering them in a way that is effective. I'm fully focusing on like trying to get what's inside of my head and convey it out through my mouth as effectively as possible, and nothing else matters. Literally nothing else matters. It doesn't matter how fucking cute the lens is and how sexy it is. It doesn't matter if my face is focused, which are things that are important and that you should do beforehand. But I'm saying my focus isn't pulled in so many different directions while I'm making content in this moment. But a lot of times when I make content, it isn't as refreshing as it is when I'm by myself, because my focus is literally just to say things to myself to improve. Like I literally talk to myself so I can get to the bottom. And there's no show. There's no show for anybody. There's no camera. There's no body there that I have to make sure I have to say this right, or make sure I have to keep a certain persona, or, you know, project a certain personality. Like, no, I'm just like, my focus is 100% on my focus. And if I could just tap into that every time I make content, I could be that. And it's not even just content, it's literally everything. And I think the practice comes in real life. You know, like I think when I was younger and I used to go out and talk to girls, which I don't really do as much anymore because my goals are different. But when I used to go out and talk to girls, part of my focus was on, what if somebody sees me? What if somebody looks at me? What if she rejects me? What if she thinks I'm ugly? What if my breath stinks? What if all of these things, instead of my focus being on, let me walk up to this girl and try to have the best experience that I could possibly have, and that being my sole focus, that literally being my sole and only focus. Once I was able to do that, once I was able to have experiences like that with girls where that literally was my only focus, bruh, the quality of experiences that I was able to have with girls just drastically improved. And so because my mind thinks like that, and because when I take certain risks, I'm thinking about all the repercussions that could happen, I get distracted. I don't really put my best foot forward, which is, you know, and it's such a deep confliction, because I know what type of content I can put out if I'm focused. I know what type of conversation that I have with myself and how valuable they are and how interesting they are and how captivating I could be if I'm really deep in my zone. But when I get behind this fucking camera, and even now, like trying to censor shit that I say, and it's just like, bro, it's not necessary. None of that is necessary. The only thing that matters is trying to get what's in here and get it out and add value. That's the only thing that matters, literally, not the camera. Like, I mean, it matters, but you get my point. Like, not the little small nuances, and not making sure my lips is not ashy. I don't care if my lips is ashy. I don't care if my shirt is off. I don't care if my hair is not picked. I don't care if my bed is not made. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is being focused on my focus. And the more focused I am on my focus, the more passion I could... I swallow a bug. The more passionate I could be, the more funny I could be, the more interesting I could be, the more of a good quality content creator I can be if all of these things are at place. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at this video that I made, and I'm going to see the difference between this and all the other videos that I make. And I just feel a difference. Like, you know, you can feel energy. Like, you know what I mean? You can feel somebody's energy. You can feel somebody's passion. You can feel somebody's authenticity, instead of trying to be like pussy perfect and all of that. And even trying to control my narrative and how people see me and being this like cool, aloof guy, which I am. Don't get it wrong. But that's not that's not, to the extent that I show it, is not accurate. I'm very, like, you know what I mean? I have a very weird sense of humor. Like, I think that gay humor is funny sometimes. I think, you know, I'm weirder than I let people see. But the only thing that matters in those moments is, you know, in those social moments, is being 100% your authentic self. You know, and having, in point blank, having the best experience that you can have. And the best way to have that experience is to be yourself. That there should be no other agenda, like, oh, I'm trying to whatever, like, none of that. And so, you know, I really just thought about today when I was reading and listening to the podcast. You know, I realized that I don't focus on my focus as much as I should. I focus on the other thing, or I tend to have focus on the other things, like what people think and all of these things, when those things really don't matter. And so the first thing I tried to do was figure out, why does that even matter to me? Why does it matter to me what people think? And it matters to me, and I think why it matters to most people, what people think, is because the way people think about you is going to affect your experience in life. The way your community thinks about you is going to affect your experience. Damn, this chair is, man, I see why my back be hurting, bro. This shit got no fucking, like, this shit is like it has cushion and all that, but it's not hitting like that. Anyway, that's why I'm sitting like this, by the way, because my back is just in pain. But anyway, if you went to a regular public school and the community around you thought you weren't cool, that was going to affect your experience in school. That was going to affect your life. So it was vital to make, like, if people thought you were cool and popular and fun to be around, your experience is going to be far different than somebody who nobody likes and all of that. So to be like, oh, it doesn't matter what people think, that's literally false. It matters what people think. Don't get it confused. And I understand that, but I don't know. I guess it is kind of conflicting, because it's just like, if you don't have a personality that's going to be well perceived, and not even saying that I do, you know, this is just me thinking out loud. Like, I think that my personality is usually well perceived. But if you don't have a personality that's going to be well perceived, people aren't going to really treat you well. Like, a lot of people be themselves and they get treated like shit a lot of the time. But regardless, I think it's important to understand how people think about you, and to know what you want people to think about you, and how to get people to think what you want them to think about you, or at least some people, you know, maybe the masses. But I think it's just all about focusing on your focus. So if that's your focus in a particular point in time, I wouldn't say that there's anything necessarily wrong with that. If you want to portray a certain image, fine, so be it. Who am I to say that that's wrong? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if your focus is to blow up on YouTube, if your focus is to become a highly influential content creator, then your focus should not be on anything outside of the realm of doing that thing when you're doing what you're doing. Now, obviously, you don't want to go against your morals and your values, and you don't want to sacrifice your integrity. But in terms of the minuscule things that don't really matter as much, in terms of like people not believing in what you're doing, or you think that you overthinking about what people are going to think, like, just being focused on your focus, and nothing that is going to help you get narrowed in or get closer to what your focus is should not be anything that you give effort to. And so, you know, me having just thought of all this today and allowing all this to sink in, you know, it's still fresh, it's still new. Like, I'm still trying to, you know, put the last little screws on this thing that on this concept that I'm trying to build. You know, because it's like, dang, like, if people are perceiving you bad, like, should you ignore that? Not necessarily. But if people perceiving you badly is getting in the way of your focus of becoming a successful content creator, then that's when you focus on it. But taking all life personal and like, oh, they think this and oh, they think this. So I think that a problem for me is that even when I got myself to do the thing that I didn't feel comfortable doing, for whatever reason, my brain was just like, they think this, they think that. Instead of constantly focus on your focus, I'm focusing on the things that's not my focus. And the only way to ensure that you're not focused on the things that you're not supposed to be focused on, aka distractions, aka other people's opinions, aka how other people feel about you, aka anything outside of your focus, the only way to ensure that you don't focus on the things that you're not supposed to be focused on is to actively focus on what you're supposed to be focused on, because you can't think two thoughts at the exact same time. So if you're focused on what you're supposed to be focused on, you simultaneously get rid of all the other focuses that's not your focus, right? When people have a purpose of like getting off drugs, their purpose of getting off drugs has to be linked to something. I want to be able to be with my family. So their focus is not a negative of, I want to get off drugs, I want to not be on drugs. Their focus is, I want to be with my family. That is my focus. How do I get there? Right? And so once you are thinking in that way and you're single-minded in your focus,